August of 1988. Monthly Afternoon begins publishing a manga by Kosuke Fujishima. It's a story about an unlucky college student, Keiichi Morisato, and how his life is embroiled in an awkwardly heartwarming romantic comedy with one of the most powerful goddesses in existence. The series is called Ah, My Goddess, and it would publish until 2014 with a total of 308 chapters over 48 total volumes. Henlon's razor is in full force, but that doesn't stop him from chasing his dreams of becoming a mechanic. So he's in college and living in the boys' dorm associated with the automotive club. But his luck was about to take a dramatic turn. It's a Saturday night and the seniors of the club have some chores for him to do while they won't be home, and one of them includes making a phone call. But Keiichi's luck strikes again because when he attempts to dial the number, something changes and his phone is connected to the Goddess Helpline. The one who answers is Belldandy, Goddess First Class, Unlimited License. Keiichi realizes he dialed the wrong number, but is taken aback by how she knows his name. Belldandy then says he qualifies for one wish, and she will take his wish in person. So she comes out of the mirror in his bedroom. Due to some shock and awe and some associated questions from Keiichi, he voices the only wish that comes to mind. I want a goddess like you to stay by my side forever. Much to the surprise of both, the wish is accepted and now Belldandy is bound to Keiichi. Soon after, the upperclassmen return and immediately check with Keiichi to see if the chores are done. They see Belldandy and kick both out of the dorm due to the strict no women policy. Based. But wait, there's more. Wishes made by way of the goddesses are enforced by the system. Should anyone try to forcefully separate the two, misfortune is thrust upon them. So now Keiichi is at a total loss. He has to find a new place to live for the two of them and get back to school ASAP. And the one silver lining is Belldandy. She's basically a perfect woman, not just physically, but personality and capability-wise as well. She rolls with the changes to their life as immediate and drastic as they are, and tries to make the best of wherever they find themselves, even when they're sleeping in a little three-wheel utility truck. By Studio AIC, Season 1 runs 24 episodes at 24 minutes each. Season 2 at 22 episodes. Season 1 adds 2 more with the Flight of Fancy special, and Season 2 adds 2 more with the Fighting Wings special. With a 3-episode OVA released in 2011 called Together Forever at 28 minutes each. 53 episodes in total, plenty of content, plenty of good VA work by the dubbing staff. Though there is an alternative version of 5 OVAs and a movie, but they use different VAs than the TV series, and it makes it sound really weird. The story and animation of the movie is actually really great, like on par with Akira great. But if you watch the TV series first, you'll become acclimated to Eileen Stevens as Belldandy and Matt Chaplin as Keiichi, which will make it just feel weird when you hear Bridget Hoffman and Tony Oliver instead. It's not that they do a poor job with their roles, it's just that, for me, hearing the voice of Shinobu from Love Hina come from Belldandy and the voice of Lancer from Fate Stay Night come from Keiichi felt wrong. But back to the slightly goofy and warm rom-com about a college grease monkey and his otherworldly bride, literally. Most of the story is pretty lighthearted and day-to-day. It's a combo of supernatural and slice of life. The style of storytelling that was made popular by the success of Urusei Yatsura. The inspiration is pretty obvious, not like it's the only one. To Love Ru, Rosario and Vampire, Jitsu wa Watashi. There have been some very successful series that clearly take inspiration from Rumiko Takahashi's work. But with Oh My Goddess you get a whole different level of insanity. Goddesses bring goddess-sized problems, and most of them are caused by Belldandy's sisters, Erd and Skuld. But the real draw to the story is that, for the time it came out, it had a different focus. Greek and Mediterranean myths have always been popular in the West, but Fujishima took a different route, and based it off of the Norse pantheon, and he didn't even use the popular Norse gods to begin with. He used the Norns, the 3 Viking fates, quite literally, Urdur, Verdendi, and Skulder. Read enough into the manga and you'll find out the sister's father is Tyr, the Norse version of Mars, and is either the son of Hymir or Odin depending on what story you're reading. And the setting can be described as isekai in a sense from the perspective of the sisters. Earth is their isekai story, but the realm of the gods itself is portrayed as technologically advanced society. Yggdrasil isn't an actual tree, but the name of the system that manages the various planes where life exists, which is kind of emphasized by the fact that the Goddess Helpline has competition in their field called the Earth Help Center, of which the goddess Peorth is the top dog and effectively Beldandi's rival. In Old Norse, Peorth isn't an actual goddess, but is one of the runes in their writing system. The goddess realm also has viruses and bugs in the system, and we get plenty of scenes, not just them trying to fight these bugs, but also an episode where Skuld is causing them. And even the way that it's portrayed in the god realm, they don't have computers. Their stations have these things that look like string instruments. They resemble a loom in a way. The mix of Norse myth and high-tech really gives that feeling you get from the scene in the first Thor movie back in 2011. Your ancestors called it magic, but you call it science. I come from a land where they are one and the same. Especially with how Skuld is more reliant on technology than training her magic ability, which is part of the subplot around her getting her own angel. Also, I really enjoyed the aspect that magic is cast through song. It works well with the aesthetic of the story. AIC definitely took some creative liberties with the anime art style to suit their studio, while Fujishima's manga skill evolves over the years. If you open the manga and read it all the way through, it's incredible to watch as he refines his art direction more and more. But AIC did a really good job emulating it with their animation. But how does it sound? Well, it sounds great too. Yoko Ishida offers her voice for the opening and ending tracks for both seasons, and I'm particularly fond of Season 2's opening track, Color of Happiness. And the English cast is just spot on. With Eileen Stevens as Belldandy, it took me more than one watch through to notice the subtle change to Belldandy's character as the story progressed. She starts off being very formal and polite and just kind of feels overall distant. But from the start of Season 2, she's significantly less formal and more affectionate in her speech. Chaplin really brings the sound of a struggling college student to life, with great inflection at just the right time for every line. And I genuinely do not think there is a more appropriate voice for Erd than Shannon Conley. Kether Donahue as Skuld and Alyssa Honeycutt as Mara, Kevin Collins as the god of poverty Senbei, Emily Bauer as Megumi, and Mary McGlynn as Hild. And in Season 2, Juliet Casario as Peorth. Every single one of them matched perfectly with the character that's on screen. Specifically Kether, Alyssa, and Kevin, they really put forth extra effort for Skuld and Mara. And you really could tell that Kevin Collins was having the best time of his life with Senbei. Honestly, it's because of Kevin that I'm thankful Senbei was a recurring character. But the meat of the story is a weird mashup of supernatural and slice of life where every day is broken up by the schemes and mischief of a third party. The characters and how they react is significantly more important than the story itself. To that effect, Keiichi Morisato is just your Joe Everyman. He's not particularly handsome, he's not wealthy, he's average on brains. He only really stands out for his obsessive love of vehicles, especially motorcycles. He's a very honest and upright man, but he is plagued with bad luck. And I think that's one of the main things that sets this story apart from all of the others that did something similar in its time. It's not overly gratuitous with the fan service, and Keiichi isn't depicted as some kind of accidental lecher. He's just a regular guy with regular flaws, and that doesn't really matter much because his nature allows him to keep trucking in spite of his bad luck. I mean, he's not Sena Yamada levels of unlucky, so at least he's got that going for him. Belldandy, on the other hand, is a perfect character, a literal Mary Sue. I know everyone hates Mary Sues, but Belldandy has a very clear and obvious flaw to her character, and it's really only a flaw due to her nature as a complete alien, a god living in the human world. She's not just naive to Japanese culture, but she's naive to human culture, and she's way too trusting. There's an entire plotline within the series where she's turned into a demon because apparently that's something that can happen, but she is so overly, Mary Sue good that her evil could only be called milquetoast at best. Oh, and she gets drunk on Coke, like soda. And drunk Belldandy definitely happens more than once. Erd may very well be the intentional comic relief, and her nature as a half-breed between the god Tyr and the Queen of Hell, Hild, plays into her personality that seems overly invested in deriving entertainment from others, usually with subtle half-truths or her specialty, potions, since she's an apothecary. Skuld, on the other hand, is brash and hot-headed as she should be for her assumed age. In human years, that would be around 14-ish. Her immaturity and over-reliance on tech, combined with the self-absorbed attitude about her own intelligence, really drives home who this character is supposed to be. She's a brat with a sister complex. Now, Mara comes off as heavy comic relief, as in Mr. Bean-style comedy, though her incompetence seems to have an air of good luck about it. While her plots and schemes go wrong, they also go weirdly right. You'd think Erd, being half god and half demon, would be more the embodiment of chaos, but that's really just Mara. Which is even more ironic as she is allergic to good luck charms. And then Senbei comes along and the randomness gets even worse. But that's what you can expect when you try to employ a god of poverty. But it's supposed to be light and goofy. That's the base of the show, which really makes it easy to watch. But it does have moments of strong plot or drama before it goes right back into the silly. Skuld's machines, Erd's alchemy, the Nakomi Tech Auto Club shenanigans, Keiichi's sister Megumi, it's just unpredictability piled on top of unpredictability. And that's the thing. Not a single character is unpleasant to have on screen. Of all of them, Skuld could be the most grating on the ears, but I don't find her almost scratchy sounding outbursts unpleasant since they're usually short and appropriate to the scene. I would actually classify this series as a sort of palate cleanser. Like you're watching something particularly graphic, super heavy story, the kind that tire your brain out. You'd watch something like this as a way to rest for something later. That's the kind of series this is, for me at least. One of the big pitfalls of the show, though, is that it falls into the category of being an ad to sell merch. From the late 90s almost into the 2010s, anime was viewed more as a way to advertise product rather than its own significant artistic expression. You know, hawking Dakimakura, PVS figures, wall scrolls. It was marketing for the IP for making money on a secondary product. Ken Akamatsu suffered from this horribly, with Love Hina, Maho Sensei Nagima, and UQ Holder. All three have incredibly solid, coherent stories with great plots, great character development, and all of that was just very loosely added to the show as fan service and not much else. Kind of is a travesty for Akamatsu's work. Much less so for Oh My Goddess, since the crux of the show isn't just blatant fan service. Sure, there are moments with skin, but it's nothing you would see like in an ecchi series. The actual story and events of Oh My Goddess are almost completely different from the manga for what it covers, but you know, I'm kind of okay with that in this case. AIC really maintained the feel that the manga gave off, and it's not like the manga doesn't have the same style as the show, having just mini plots shoehorned into places of the manga, at least not until way later when it starts getting towards its conclusion. It has a solid, consistent plot for dozens of chapters. But for this kind of series, I don't think having a rigid storage structure is actually a good thing for it. If it was more serious, it would lose that very light-hearted feeling that makes it warm. It may not mirror the source material almost at all, but it retains the core ideas and intent of the source, and in some instances that can be more important than trying to mirror a product for a product. And the kind of product we were left with was really good. So, who can honestly complain? And that's about it. I am the NBT, this has been the Noble Weeaboo, and I highly recommend watching Oh My Goddess. It's really good to rewatch, and it's really good to relax with.